Well, hey everybody, we're back again. So, as promised, we're actually going to bale some hay today in the sunshine. So, from the last video, to kind of a recap, this is Saturday. I got out here about 12:30 today after work, and I started cutting some more of this field. So I forgot to count when I raked it how many windrows we have running from the middle of the field here over to the east. But we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start getting it baled now. It's been, I don't know, it's been 5.5, almost 6 hours roughly since the first half of the field was cut. Um, it's been hot all day. The sun's been shining more or less, and it's been in the high 80s most of the afternoon. So this stuff has dried pretty quickly. Um, Jimmy has taken a look at it and said, "Yeah, go ahead, get started." Because of course we don't want it to get too dry. If you guys remember from a couple of videos ago. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Another thing Jimmy told me is to go ahead and mow this right here between his grass field and the plowed ground over there. I had left the strip right there in front of us. I had left that initially, but he said no, go ahead and cut that. And then also he said back there by the trees, I left a strip because I didn't know, if there were logs or whatever, and I was cutting it at night when I made the outside rounds. I guess he drove through there yesterday, made sure there wasn't anything in there, so he said whenever you go to cut the west half of the field, go ahead and trim that up a little bit closer to the trees. So we're gonna get hopped in the tractor. We're gonna go ahead and bale this strip right here, all the way down to the corner, and then we're gonna come back around and we're gonna start on the windrows. Let's get to it. Alright, so I went ahead earlier and serviced the baler. I checked everything over. There's some daily greasings that you got to do, so on and so forth. Check the twine. Still got plenty of twine in there. This thing holds, what does this thing hold? Like six or eight bolts per side. I can't remember. I just looked at it, but now I can't remember if it's 6 or 8 per side. But it holds a lot of twine. Monitor seems to be looking okay. I reset it for today. I reset the total monitor for today. I think that's it. I think I've done everything that I've needed to do. Yeah, I think so. Okay, let's get this thing going. Baler's running. We'll drop the pickup and let's get to it. There we go. So I'm going to see how this does at 10 miles an hour. One thing that I noticed this afternoon, shoot, I was going to count those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, maybe 17, if I counted that right. 17 windrows, not counting the one that we're picking up right now. So, should have quite a bit of hay to pick up. What was I saying? Shoot. Now I don't remember what I was saying. Maybe I'll think of it in a minute. Something about the baler. Something about the baler? Huh. I don't know. Regardless. Not important, I guess. Alright, so we got one bale so far. Let's go see. I think as straight as these are, I might be able to use the GPS. We might be able to use auto track or auto steer. So I'm gonna pull in here and see if I can kind of get that set up. Let's see here. Alright, that took me just a second, but I got the auto track set up, or the auto steer set up, I guess. So let's give it a try and see how it works out. It would really be nice if I had raked these long enough that I could actually use the auto steer. So I may have to correct a little bit side to side, but hopefully this will work out. So we've already made 4, 5, already made 5. This is good. So I found out as I was cutting this today, and as you can see right here, this field is actually not as flat as it looks. There's actually a pretty good dip right here in the middle that I had no idea was there until until I got to that point today earlier. I didn't really realize that depression was even there. So, although I thought this was the flattest hayfield that I'd ever seen, it's actually, when you get to driving through it, it's not really even all that flat. So like I said earlier, today is Saturday, and I have it on pretty good authority because I have been speaking with the truck driver that there's a very good possibility, if he doesn't have any problems tomorrow, or the rest of the day, I guess, that the new tractor is going to show up sometime tomorrow evening. So, should be here tomorrow evening, which is a Sunday. I don't know that I'll immediately bring it over here to the field, because it'll probably need to sort of be gone through, just double check everything. They had been using it, I guess, some. The guy that I bought it from had been using it some. So it should be in pretty decent, operable shape. But it's going to be pretty interesting to see when it gets here, I think. Because I've seen pictures of it, obviously, but I haven't really... It'll be interesting to see what it looks like when it gets here, and I'm able to see it. It'll be interesting to really be able to take a look at it up close and get a feel for its condition. It looks a little rough on the outside, I'm not going to lie. But he sent me some pictures of the cab, the inside of the cab, although, worn, because it is like a 30? Yeah, it is like almost a 30-year-old tractor. Or actually, it pretty much is exactly a 30-year-old tractor, actually, because it was made in 1991. It looked like it was in pretty good shape, honestly. I guess it just spent a lot of its life out in the weather. It comes from the area of the country that farm equipment's not always put in the barn every night. So it just sort of is what it is. I'm expecting it. It looks like it's a little sun bleached, and the paint looks a little bit chalky, maybe almost. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what kind of condition it is. There's always the chance that I could, polish it up a little bit and make it look a little nicer. I'm also interested to see what the bonus is, because if you'll remember, apparently the guy is sending a bonus with the tractor, but Rusty wouldn't tell me what it was. The other guy wouldn't tell me what it was. So I guess we'll just kind of have to see. I don't know. I have to say, I was pretty pleased with the. So far, I've been pretty pleased with the adjustments that I made to the rake. As you'll notice here in front of me, now it's really it's raking up a pretty tight, consistent, for the most part, windrow. So I'm pretty happy with its performance now. Here's that big dip I was telling you about a second ago, that you don't really even realize is here until you start driving around in the field. And it's much more pronounced here towards the middle than it was over by the fence. Because over there by the fence, you really can't even tell there is a dip, even though you're driving through the edge of it. See where we at? We're at 42 bales so far. So gross so far, just for today, is just a second, let me get turned around here. Gross just for today is $430 so far, and that doesn't take into consideration the money I get paid for the mowing and the raking. Because remember, I get paid by the acre for mowing, I get paid by the acre for raking the hay, and then I'll get paid by the bale for baling it. So it's a pretty good deal. I mean, so far I'm doing quite well. I'm pleased that I went ahead and took the leap and agreed to do this for Jimmy. He was kind of I don't know, he chewed me pretty good the other day. The video didn't even quite do it justice. I felt pretty bad about myself after he chewed on me the other day, but it is what it is. You live and you learn, and now I know a lot more about baling grass or baling forage for wrapping purposes, and I probably won't ever forget that the moisture content of the grass when you bale it to wrap needs to be at a minimum 40%, and really the sweet spot is somewhere around 55%. I'm probably not going to forget that anytime soon. So I guess he accomplished his goal when he chewed on me there a little bit. I gotta say, I'm still pretty impressed with the performance of this baler, especially in that drug it out of the barn, hadn't been used, and I'm not even sure if Rusty told me the last time it actually baled hay, but I'm very pleasantly surprised at how well it's baling this hay. Or this grass, I guess. I guess it's not hay until it dries. I guess it's grass. It's baling this grass. So we're at 59 bales now. We've got 447 total bales. So that includes now it's 448. So that includes the dry hay the grass that I let get too dry, so it ended up being hay. That includes those bales. which I think was somewhere around 180 some bales, I believe. So the now 450 includes those bales. It includes the bales that I baled the other night, last night, that you guys did not see. Those would be the ones that they are, that they wrapped last night, that we looked at over there earlier in the previous video. And it includes what we've baled here so far. So I think I counted 11 windrows. We've got 3 baled here so far. This is the 4th. I guess, you know, if I did some math, I could probably estimate how many bales are left in this field, because I've got about half of the field left. I've got to call it just under, for simplicity's sake, let's call it just under half of the field I have left. So if I have just under half the field left, I should be able to pretty easily estimate what's left over there once I'm done with this. Should be about double. Actually, I should be able to just subtract off the 100 and it was 100 and, let me see if I wrote it down here in my little book I keep in my pocket. So 186. The little spot over by the hay barn where they're wrapping these bales. If you'll remember, I cut that and baled that. That was the very first thing I did, and that got too dry, so it got put up for hay. And then on the very same night, or the very same day, I guess, I cut it on the very same night, and then I also baled it on the same day that I baled the spot over there where the wrapped bales are. So the little spot over there and the 4 outside rounds, that came up to be 186 bales total. So when I'm done here when I'm done baling these windrows here, if I just take my total and subtract off the 186, that should give me a reasonable estimate as to how many bales I'll get from the other side of the field as well. Because both halves of these fields are similar in size. Now, I won't get quite as many bales from the other half because those trees up there you see on the left, those trees are out of the rest of the field, so to speak. So I'll have to subtract off 15% or 20% of what I'm left with. But I think that will actually could probably be pretty close. So yeah, I think at the end of this video, or when we're done baling this over towards the center of the pivot over there, I'll do that. I'll see if I'll give you an estimate of how many bales I think are still left on this field, and we will, when I'm done, we'll see how close my estimate was. That'd be fun. I'm glad that the auto steer seems to be working pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with myself, the fact that I can cut this hay and rake this hay this straight. Pretty impressed. Alright, we're just creeping up on about 500 bales. We got 482 total so far. So I feel like there's a pretty good chance that this place here is going to have about 1,000 bales on it by the time I'm done. I think so. And if this place has 1,000 bales, that'll be $10,000 in hay that's baled. No, actually that will be over, because that doesn't include the acreage charge for the raking and the mowing, which last I remember for this field was going to be somewhere just over $2,000, so $12,000. That seems kind of crazy, actually, the fact that it's that much. But I mean, that's just based on what Oklahoma's custom rates are. I mean, that's, if you go and look at OSU and look at the custom rate surveys that they've done, that's in line with what the going rates are, which seems kind of surprising, but at the same time I'm pretty happy about. I guess if you consider, though, that, you know, what it costs to own this equipment and run this equipment and maintain it, it's, I guess, a pretty reasonable price. I guess we'll see. We'll see how much fuel and all my new tractor drinks. We'll see how much fuel I end up spending on putting in the Fiat and this thing and the 4020 to get this whole first cutting contract done. Because you remember, I got this field that I'm working on now, and I also have a field over by my mom and dad's house that is not nearly this flat, and it is not square at all. It's actually got a couple of big hills, and there is no part of that field, if I'm thinking right, there's like no part of that field that's square. So I don't know, we'll see. There we go, 504 bales. So we've got over, we've just grossed over $5,000 so far in baling this hay. And I'm not sure how much more of this hay Jimmy's actually going to wrap here at his house. I remember him telling me a while back that he was going to have part of it wrapped here, but then he was also going to take part of it over to where his feed facility is, and he was going to put some of it up over there. So I don't know how much is, goes to which area. He didn't tell me that. I assume there's still going to be quite a bit wrapped here, but I don't know that for sure. I know I know he keeps a few head around in this area, just kind of, oh, like when he weans his calves and things like that. He brings them to some other pastures over here, closer towards his house and kind of around his house here, um, while he starts them out. You know, after they're fully weaned and you know all that, after he's worked them the first time, he brings them and turns them out in different places over around here. But I don't know. I don't know how much of this he's going to feed over over in this area. So, but I do know that some of this is, some of what's baled out here is going to go to his feed facility, which is just across the road from the other field that I'm going to cut and bale for him. And over there, it's kind of a different deal because there's a field. There's a field over in the back that I believe is in alfalfa, but it's not irrigated, and it is. I don't know that it's. I think it's in okay shape. I think it's just an older stand, so I'm not really expecting. I'm not expecting to make as many bales over there, even though I think the total acreage is similar to what this place is. I'm not really expecting to make the same number of bales over there that I'm going to make here. I just don't know that the grass is as good of a quality, and I don't think that they've had the rain, and it's obviously not irrigated. Now you know you can see this back here in the back is not irrigated either, and it's still making a lot of bales. But I just don't know. I just don't know if it's going to be quite as lucrative as this has been so far. But we'll see, because I do remember him saying that. Oh, I don't know. It was back when I first started talking to him about doing this. I know that he said that that this variety and this mixture of grass did not yield as well as alfalfa. So I don't know if this field right here had been planted alfalfa, if I made 1,500 bales by the time I was done. I don't know. But anyways, interesting things are coming. I've been thinking about what kind of big square baler I'm going to look for, because I think I am going to try to look for one. And Rusty, I'm pretty confident Rusty is not going to sell me this one. So I'm going to have to find my own big square baler. I'm thinking I kind of want something that's not quite as exotic as this thing is, because, you know, I've talked about before, Crone or Crown, I still haven't decided, or I still haven't investigated or researched how exactly you pronounced it, but let's just call it Crone for now, since I don't know any better. While they're beginning to become a little more popular, I think, here in the States, certainly in different localized areas, they're still not really that common, especially around here. You know, the common bigger balers that we have around here is like Heston, which I believe they are credited with designing and building the first big baler, I believe. But like Heston has got one, which is a 4x4 baler, which is so that their bales are even bigger than these. They're actually, I think, width-wise and length-wise, they're similar, but they're taller. They're a taller bale. So you've got Heston, which I believe also made balers for Case IH, and New Holland, I believe. I believe Case IH and New Holland just Heston built the balers and they just painted them, in New Holland colors and livery, or in Case New Holland or Case IH colors and livery. But I think that size bale from those particular balers, I think all those balers were built by Heston. They were just marketed by Heston and New Holland and Case IH in the beginning. Nowadays, the Heston's not really a brand anymore with AGCO. I mean, it is, but it isn't. It's like, if you go buy a Heston square baler, like an inline small square baler, or a Heston big baler now, or like a windrow or whatever, it's like Heston by Massey Ferguson or something like that. And they're painted in like Massey Ferguson colors. So they're like the bright red and the silver and the dark gray. So while they're like the Heston name is still on them, on the fine print, they're kind of just like marketed as Massey Ferguson's now, which I think is kind of strange. I don't know, because Heston has been synonymous with hay here in the States for forever, and Massey Ferguson, not really so much. So it's strange to me that that's what AGCO decided to do, but maybe that makes more sense overseas, like in Europe. I know Massey Ferguson's really popular over in Europe, so I guess maybe that just makes more sense over there. Now, I do believe that Massey Ferguson and New Holland, or I guess AGCO, let's just say AGCO. So AGCO and New Holland, they make a baler now that bales a very similar size bale to these. It's a high density, some kind of super high density bale, which from the research that I've done about square balers over the past couple weeks now, big square balers, past couple weeks now, is that, a high density bale can be a good thing, because at the end of the day, you just have more material packed into the same size, bale. You have more material packed into the same volume, and that's what makes it a high density bale. But however, I have read some things that say if you're feeding, if your intent is to feed the grass or the forage or whatever it is, you might not necessarily want it a super high dense in a super high dense form. It's, from what I understand, it can actually be less palatable to the animals if it's a super high density, really compacted. So I don't know. I don't know that maybe it would make a difference if you're going to grind the bales and feed them as part of a mixed ration. But if you're just going to, if you're looking to just flake the bales off and feed them that way, like a lot of people do with big square bales. Maybe it's not such a good thing. I don't know. So anyways, long story short, I am thinking, I'm kicking around, you know, what size baler I might want to have. I do know that those high density balers are super expensive, and they take a lot of horsepower, like maybe even more horsepower than like this tractor and my new tractor are going to be. So that's probably not going to be the route that I go. But I'm still kind of kicking around what to do. But I don't know, you know, after this is done, after this field and the other field is done, I don't really know of, you know, anybody else that's gonna be beating down my door for these big square balers this year. I don't know if, you know, if I had one, maybe Steve would want some of his alfalfa baled in big squares. I don't know. I don't know if he has a market for them or not. I don't really think my dad will want any of his hay, his grass hay, baled in big square bales, because there aren't really that many. You know, I think he's not selling his hay to the people who bought the first cutting. I know that, because they didn't need any more. But I think that I think that he's going to want round bales. I do think he you know, he's told me that he wants to try to make a bigger bale with my round baler this time than we made last time, because last time we made 4 foot wide by 4 foot tall, and that's just that many more bales you have to handle when they're that small. So he wants to try more like a 4 by 5.5 maybe foot tall. So we're gonna see if we can. I know we should be able to make a taller bale in my round baler, so we're gonna see if we can try to figure out how to get that done for Dad this year, for this fall. But I mean, you know, after this is done, you know, the way things are going, I really think that I'm gonna, you know, be baling hay for Jimmy or grass for Jimmy, for the next, maybe however long I want to do it. I know the last guy that baled hay for him did it for several years before he finally got so busy that he couldn't do it anymore, and that's why I'm here. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But you know, after this is done, there's going to be no more hay to bale for him this year. It'll be next spring before I need to do any square baling again for Jimmy. So I don't know if I'll really even need to look for a square baler anytime soon, a big square baler anytime soon. So we'll just kind of see. We'll just kind of see what happens. So if anybody's still watching, what do you think about this video format so far? Do you like the just seeing me farm and me just kind of rambling about things that are going on? Or are you bored yet? Those of you who are still watching at this point, I suppose you're either not bored and you're riveted to see what I'm going to say next or what's going to happen next, or you are so incredibly bored that this is the most entertaining thing that you can think of right now. This is exciting for me because every time a bale falls out of the back of this thing, it's just like I'm ringing the cash register. So for me, this is pretty exciting. but I don't know if it's exciting for you guys or not. But you know, I said that this is what I was going to try, and so we're trying it. Let's see here. That's one bale. Two bales. Three bales on the ground. Four bales. Five. Six. Seven. 8. 9. 10. So that's $100. 11. 12. 13. 14. 15. 16. 17. 18. 19. Am I going to get 20 out of one windrow? Almost, almost. Almost. So I didn't quite get 20 out of one windrow. But if I had, that would have been basically $200 in that one windrow. And actually, I guess I did. It wasn't on the ground yet, but it was a complete bale before you know, I turned. So yeah, if you think about it, if each one of these windrows that I'm baling right now, if each one of them makes 20 bales, that's $200. Actually, it's $260. But if you remember, Rusty is getting $3 out of every bale that I bale for Jimmy, because Jimmy's actually paying me $13 a bale for every one of these bales. However, the agreement that I made with Rusty, because I needed, remember, this is not my square baler. I'm just basically renting it from Jimmy. This is not my tractor. I'm just borrowing it from Kurt. I mean, I did a little bit of work for him. I did a little bit of tractor driving for him a few videos ago, but he's basically just out of the kindness of his heart letting me borrow this tractor. But anyways, each one of these bales is $13, but I only get to keep 10 of it because I have to give 3 of it to Rusty for baler rent. So Rusty's gonna make out like a bandit. I think. I mean, there'll be a little bit of wear and tear on his baler, but honestly, like getting it out here in the field and actually using it and, you know, knocking the rust out of all of it is probably good for it. So, you know, if he ever wants to sell it in the future, or if anybody ever wants to, you know, lease it again or rent it again, this is probably not the worst thing in the world for it, is getting out here and actually running it some and putting some hay through it. This thing, I mean, this thing truly is. It's like a money. It's like a money machine. It's like an ATM. It's just printing money. I mean, ATMs don't print money, but you know what I mean. It's like a. It's like a printing press at the U.S. Treasury office. It's printing out $10 bills. Basically, is what it's doing. Alright folks, well, if you stuck with me this long, I want to say thanks for watching. This has been a very long video, and I want to thank you guys for watching. We've made a lot of bales and a lot of progress. I feel pretty confident that I can say that I think at least 3/4 of the new tractor are going to be paid for with this contract, with this field and the next field. I think are going to pay for at least 3/4 of the new tractor. If you'll remember, I paid $18,500 for the new tractor. That's what I paid for the actual tractor. But then I had to pay, it ended up being right about $2,000 to have it shipped down here. And I could have gotten it a little bit cheaper than that probably, but I really wanted to get it here, so I didn't maybe bargain as much as I could have in order to get the cheapest price. It was more like a, hey, I know a guy that does a good job and he'll make sure that he's there when he says he's going to be there, but he may be a little more expensive. That's sort of how it worked out. And the guy was free, and Rusty had used him several times before, so I felt good about the fact that everything was going to go smoothly. It's just that he costs a little bit more, but that's okay because I feel good about the fact that the guy knows what he's doing. He's hauled a lot of equipment, much bigger, much more unwieldy equipment than just this tractor. So anyways, I will keep you guys up to date, but I would say that you should just expect to see the new tractor in the next video. So as we finish up this last window right here, there's pretty interesting things that we're going to be doing once this hay we've still got some hay to bale for Jimmy, but we're going to have some interesting things to do after we're all done with Jimmy's hay. There's going to be some interesting things to do. We've got to get back sort of on the project for Rodney. If you guys will remember Rodney, we've got that to do. I need to put down some fertilizer on my my little plots there on the Krieger place that I'm going to put in alfalfa. We got to put some fertilizer down on there, and we're going to borrow Steve's cultivator and harrow to finish smoothing that place up. That's something I'm probably going to be able to do with my new tractor, so watch out for that. The next video is probably going to be something to do with the new tractor. Maybe just be there to show it off for you guys so that you can see it. But then we also once we're done with this, I don't know if I'll do any more videoing of this place. I think you guys have actually maybe getting bored of it by now. I'm looking forward to a change in scenery myself, but we'll probably get back into the videoing the big square bales on the next place I'm working for Jimmy on. So let's see here. If I unload the bales from the baler, there's 748 bales, and I baled 360 bales just today, just from what you guys have been watching me do for the last little while. We baled 360 bales, so we almost doubled what I had done previously, including the little area over across the driveway, including the outside rounds, and including what I did yesterday. We almost doubled that in the bales that you see out there now. So I said I was going to do some quick math maybe and figure out what I think is left over here as far as bales go on the second half of this field. So let's say I said I was going to take the number of bales that we baled so far, which is 748. And I was going to subtract out the first bales that came from across the driveway and the outside rounds, which was 184. So if I take 184, 186 from 748, that gives me 562. Now let's take another 20% off of that because of those trees on the north end of the field you see there. So let's take 20% off of that. That leaves me with 450 bales. So I'm going to say that the grass over there that I have not cut yet and hasn't been baled, you see right out there, which comprises the west half of this field. I'm going to say there's 450 more bales out there. So I think if I do that math, if I'm right about that, if I'm right that there's 450 more bales out there, then we're gonna end up doing something like 450 plus, let's just call it 750. It says 748 just to make it nice and even. That's 1,200 bales. So I'm going to say that this place here at Jimmy's house is going to make a grand total of 1,200 bales. And I'll give you an update when I finish. I'll post a little short blurb about how many bales this place made. So for those few of you who are still watching, thank you for watching. I hope you're excited. This baling contract, while maybe slightly boring, out here in the field, listen to me ramble, is making me a lot of money, which is going to allow me to do some things in the future that I have already started scheming. So thanks for watching. If you liked the video, if you made it this far, please give me a thumbs up. If you are not subscribed, consider subscribing. Not all my videos are this long or boring. And if you stuck it out, thanks for watching, and I hope you're as excited as I am. See ya.